have sung at an awful lot of retirement homes here in the last year. We've been down to Cottingham several times, down in Westchester, and Gary's father-in-law is in a brand new one down in the Cincinnati area. We go to the Greenville, Brethren retirement home a couple times a year, and we were up there not too long ago. And I suppose there was probably, what, John, 150?
At least that.
Of the residents out. There was this one particular elderly lady that made her way down to the front, sat right on the front row down here, and when we started singing, she looked at John and just started grinning. And all through the program, she just smiled ear to ear. And when we were done, of course, John got a little self-conscious of it because she couldn't take her eyes off of him. Just kept looking, kept grinning.
I'm not that good to look at.
And so John thought, well, I must have done something wrong, had my tie on crooked, one pant leg shorter than the other, don't know what it was. So he went down and he talked to her, and he said, ma'am, he said, I just couldn't help noticing that you were looking at me all through the program. She said, oh, yeah. She says, was there something wrong? Did I do something? Was I dressed wrong? And she said, oh, no, honey. She said, you just look like my third husband. Well, John being, the nice guy he was, he said, well, ma'am, how many husbands have you had? She said, 2. John's got a grandson that he's about 7 years old now. Scotty's about 7. And I don't know what John's done to him, but Scotty likes to come up and just kick Grandpa in the rear end when he's not looking at it. John told me the other day, he said, I'm going to fix him. I'm going to put a stick of dynamite in my pocket, and when he kicks me again, he's going to blow his foot off.
Why don't you just sing?
I'm trying to get you to laugh up there, John.
No, I will hurt you. Stop.
You've been eating lemons all afternoon, I think. Summer's coming. Spring's just here in just a couple of weeks, and there's a lot of people that like to go out camping. Spend the night out, maybe the weekend out, and whatever. But I hope if you're one of that crowd that you find you a church to go to. Doesn't have to be a great big church. Doesn't have to be a little teeny tiny church. Just needs to be a church where you can go and feel the Lord and worship with God's people on the weekends. And if you see it on Wednesday night or Thursday night service, you need to drop in there too. But just remember, just like your church here, there's things that you know that you do on a regular basis, but not everybody does. Not all your visitors do. If you go to a church, make sure you're not one of those visitors that do something wrong. I went camping just a while back with a couple of my old friends. And on Sunday morning I wanted to find a church to worship in. So I packed my truck and I headed out when I saw it in a cloud of dust. It was the Ebenezer Fellowship Non-Denominational Baptist Free Will Church. Well, I walked in, it was time to start, and that little church was packed. There was only one seat on the very front row, even though I really wanted the back. So I walked right down and I took a seat, then a hush fell over the place as a sweet little gray-haired woman walked up and said, "Boy, I've got something to say."
Hey, folks around here call me Granny. I'm as sweet as I can be. I volunteer for everything. They couldn't make it without me. I teach Saturday school, I sew and bake. I'm even in charge of the Christmas play. And there's only one thing I ask in return. A lesson you should learn. Don't sit in my pew. It belongs to me. I've been sitting right here at least 40 years, and that's the way it's gonna be. Tell that you are new around here, so you better get one thing clear. Know what's good for you. Don't sit in my pew.
Well, I walked to the back of the church, feeling about as tall as a flea, when one of the deacons handed me a brown, ice-cold metal folding chair. So I sat out there in the aisle and I listened to the choir sing, "I shall not be moved," while the preacher preached a fine sermon on like a tree planted by the water.
Let 'em be.
Then he looked down and he said, "After the service is over, we want our special guest to come over to the fellowship hall for some of Granny's red velvet cake."
Yum, yum.
So that's what I did. Well, after they said the blessing, I noticed I didn't have a fork. Well, I'd have made enough commotion for one day, so I thought I'd just ease out there in the kitchen and help myself. So that's what I did. I found the utensil drawer, I pulled it open, and all of a sudden somebody spun me around and said,
Stay out of my kitchen. You know, it belongs to me. I've been cooking in here at least 40 years, and that's the way it's gonna be. So if you need a fork, if you need a spoon, next time stay in the other room.
"Oh, wait a minute."
Boy, you better pay attention. Stay out of my kitchen.
Well, then she reached up and she kissed me on the cheek and said,
Granny, sure hope you come back next week, but if you do, next time, don't get my party's water. Sing so loud. Come early for Sunday school. Stay out of my kitchen, but most of all,
"I can tell that you are new around here, so you better get one thing clear.
if you know what's good for you, don't sit in my pew. And remember, Granny loves you.
Thank you, Granny.